Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Alaska SeaLife Center's Telequarium. If you like the content you see today, remember we do this every day at noon and 2 p.m. on our YouTube channel. Well, happy Saturday, and a very exciting Saturday it is, as today we premiere our Nat Geo Wild show, Alaska Animal Rescue. So today we're going to do a quick stream with you guys and introduce you to one of our successful patients that's come through our rehabilitation program. He is a male ring seal, and his name is Spencer. I'm going to turn it over to Jane, our vet tech, who was in charge of his rescue and rehabilitation process. So take it away, Jane.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening today. So when Spencer first came to us, he was found by himself in an area where ring seals normally aren't. They were having a pretty bad season that year finding food, and they had migrated outside of their normal hunting area. And as a result of having to travel a lot and not finding the right food, Spencer became very skinny and pretty sick. Most marine mammals do not drink water, so if they aren't getting enough food, they will get dehydrated pretty quickly too. So when Spencer came to us, he was dehydrated, he was malnourished, and then he had another thing going for him. It is very normal for wild animals to have parasites. When an animal is healthy, the parasites live in community in a pretty even state within the animal. But unfortunately, when the animal gets compromised, the parasites can start to take over. So when Spencer came to us, we found out that he had a pretty serious problem with his lungs. He had worms living in his lungs. And it was giving him trouble breathing, and it was causing other problems like infection and stuff like that. So we had dehydration, malnutrition, and then a parasite issue to work with him. And because of that, he received a lot of medications and treatments when he first came to us. For our example today, I have our little Sammy seal. Needs to say Spencer did not look this big and plump when he came to us. He was very skinny. But the first thing we do is we want to give the animals some hydration. We'll do that by giving fluids under the skin, but we will also tube feed them fluids. So this is your typical tube, and we would put it down their throat. We would have one person holding them, and then the other person would be working the tube into their stomach, and using the feeding syringe, we would give them a slurry of has sugars, simple proteins, vitamins, lots of good stuff in it. We could also put additional medicines in it. We did this for about a day or so until he was about better hydrated. Being that Spencer was an older animal, he wasn't necessarily a brand new pup, we knew that he already knew how to eat fish. We just had to get his body ready to start to eat fish. When you have a person who's not eaten for a long time, when they've been starving, you don't want to give them a very full, rich dinner because their body just can't handle it. And the same way is for animals that come to us that are very malnourished. So first step is to get them hydrated so that all the liquids in their body are moving and can help with digestion. And then you can start to introduce solids. So a couple days into it, as Spencer was starting to get stronger, we were able to introduce fish to him, and he took the fish pretty easily, which was great. Now, what about those parasites? So we were giving him some other medicines to help with with being malnourished. He had some liver issues. He had some issues with his gallbladder, all related to essentially having been starving. But also now we have these parasites in his lungs to work with. How do we get rid of those? Well, there are medicines you can give them that essentially kill the parasites, but you have to be really careful. Where those dead parasites go? They stay in the body, and it takes time for the body to break down those parasites and effectively rid them from the body. And what can happen is that can almost cause the animal to go into shock as their body reacts to these parasites that are in their system. So to help counteract that, we gave Spencer some extra medicines through his lungs. We used a nebulizer, and I think folks who use a nebulizer at home for asthma or for other conditions might recognize this setup. This is the same one they would use for humans. But what we would do is in this cup, we would put saline, we would put medicine that helps with inflammation in the lungs. We'd put in a medicine that helped with mucus buildup. And then we also would put in a heavy-duty antibiotic in there. We'd set this all up, connect it up. And then, how do you give inhalation medicine to an animal that doesn't necessarily like to be touched? Well, he was wild, and so he wasn't one that would come up to us and let us put a face mask over his head to be able to breathe. So we used this tote. So this tote has extra holes in it, but what we would do is essentially have the medicines and stuff like that. And then we would have the nebulizer set up. Then we would put Spencer into the tote, close it all up. And believe it or not, Spencer was small enough to fit in this tote very comfortably. Close it up. And then turn on our nebulizer, and that medicated air would fill up the tote, and he'd be able to breathe that. Spencer did this twice a day for about 2 months. He responded very well to the treatment. To monitor his progress, we took his blood work about weekly to look for other signs of infection and make sure his organs were working well. And we also occasionally took x-rays too to make sure that he was improving. And then once he was done with the nebulizing process, we could just put him back in his pool and he could continue on with the rest of his day. So again, he came to us in a pretty bad shape. And it took a good 3 months going through this whole process, slowly getting rid of the parasites before he was ready to graduate from the rehab department. And it was a great day when he graduated from the rehab department, because that meant he was to become part of the SeaLife Center family. And so he moved into the mammal department, and they started taking over and teaching him how to work with the other mammals as well as with them. So I'm going to give this back to Shelby, and she's going to talk about what Spencer did as he started to learn to live at the SeaLife Center.
So we had a question, how did we select Spencer of the name for this ring seal? So that year, during the rehabilitation year, we typically pick a theme for the animals that we rescue. And the theme that year was Alaskan glaciers. And so looking through a list of those names, we thought Spencer was pretty perfect. Good to go? Awesome. So not sure if Jane mentioned, but once we did get the call that we had a male ring seal that was in need of rescuing and care, we immediately picked that animal up, and then he was automatically deemed non-releasable by National Marine Fisheries Service. So that meant he was going to be hanging out here at the SeaLife Center and kind of becoming part of the mammal team and collection. And so then we get to do the fun stuff and start all of the fun training. So I'm going to demonstrate a training session for Spencer so you guys can see just how far he's come. He's only been in our program maybe about 1.5 years. He's only a 3-year-old seal. So you guys can kind of check out what he's working on. Alrighty. I'm going to swing this door open and clip it. We don't want him to spook. And we're going to see if he's willing to come up and say hello. Hi, buddy. Good boy. So you guys might notice that Spencer came over to me a little bit spooked. That's okay. But initially, when trainers walk into session, the animal is trained to come to what we call a station. This is a location right in front of the trainer in which he should station vertically in the water column and make really great eye contact with the trainer. I'm not doing him any favors by looking away. Good. But when I make nice eye contact with Spencer and he's looking at me, you hear me give him that word, good. That is the bridge that Spencer's done a behavior correctly and he's going to receive reinforcement. This is how the training process starts. If you can imagine me running around saying the word good over and over again, it wouldn't mean anything to the animal. But every time I said it to Spencer, I paired it with a fish. Good. Now that word good is something very positive because something really awesome came out of this silver bucket. From there, we can start to train all different types of behaviors once we have that really nice focus. So let's see if he'll come up on deck and say hi. There we go. So you guys are getting a pretty awesome up-close look of a male ring seal, which is a pretty rare experience for a lot of people in the world. Unless you're way up in the Arctic Circle, it's one of the only locations you're going to find these guys. In North America, there's only 3 facilities that hold these guys in their care, and they all came through the rescue program here at the Alaska SeaLife Center. So pretty dang cool. Really amazing opportunity to see an animal like this so up close. Notice once again when I have Spencer up on deck, when he's not swimming way back to the water, he's going to maintain that really nice eye contact again. Right now he's a little bit spooked, so we're just going to work through it. Good. Good. That's what we call a hand target. So if I stick my fist in front of Spencer and say target, target, good, target, good, target, good. Notice I give him that verbal bridge, that word good, that he did the behavior correctly. Good, down. So I'm just going to run through a couple of the behaviors that Spencer's trained for. So this is a down. Notice the chin down to the bottom of the ground. Good. Notice that I always want to give the animal access to the water too. This is the safest place and environment for these animals to be. So I don't want to make him come up on deck. He has to select and volunteer to participate in this session. He knows that if he leaves, I won't feed him for leaving, but if he comes back to me, good, he might get some fish. Good job, buddy. Good. Good. Flip. Good. Flip. Good. Roll. Good. That was a really great demonstration from Spencer of what we call health behaviors. So I was able to lift up either one of his flippers, look underneath it, make sure it looks normal, and more importantly, roll. Oh, not yet. Was able to roll him over onto his back. Then I can see the entire ventral or belly side of the animal just to make sure that everything looks okay. Once again, these are health behaviors. I'm inspecting his entire body at all times just to make sure everything looks pretty normal. Good, let's go, bud. Good. Roll. Do it again. There you go, bud. Good boy. Good. So that was a much better representation of a rule. And then from once we teach these animals how to do the behavior, we can work on what we call the extension of it. Water. Good. If I prompt the animal to water, I'll feed him for that because that was a correct response. And we'll slowly start to build duration and extension. And from there, I can train a lot of other really cool behaviors. That roll, me touching his body, all stems into other research or health behaviors like ultrasounds, measuring how big, how long he is. We call that morphometrics, just like you guys can take different measurements along your body. We can do the same thing with our seals, which is pretty cool. See if he'll come back to me. I'm going to demonstrate to you guys what we use this for. This is called a target buoy. So very similarly to my hand target, good, good. He can also make contact to a buoy. Let's go, bud. Little scared, that's okay. This is a really important tool. It's something we train very early because you guys might be wondering, how the heck did I teach him to roll over onto his back? I actually used a target buoy. So once the animal can kind of make contact, you can start to roll them. Good. See how we give me that slight roll? And I can shape the behavior into a full ventral present by just manipulating him with something he finds really reinforcing and that he can follow. You guys might have noticed in that roll that he was trying to open his mouth. Let's see if he does it again. Good. So I am actually in the middle of training Spencer in open mouth behavior. Just like rolling him over, just like looking at his flippers. I want to see what's inside his mouth. And eventually, I can train up teeth brushing. Surprising? Maybe not. We also want to take care of our animal's teeth. But he's still in the training process. So I present the buoy. Good. Notice I don't have it quite on a stimulus cue or a visual cue yet. Good. Because I'm still training him how to open his mouth. And you might wonder, how does he not bite you? Well, this, good, really helps in the training process. I can gently teach him to open his mouth on a buoy. Good. And when I feel comfortable enough, which is not today, I might start to remove this target buoy and ask the behavior with my hands. Let's see if Spencer will kind of demonstrate his movement on land a little bit, if I can get him to come up. Let's go, bud. Good. Up. Good boy. So you guys can see Spencer moving around, looks healthy, normal undulation. This is the worm-like motion that most seals make. Spencer included. Good. No, not today. So undulating on deck in a worm-like motion is very typical for seals. It probably looks very awkward, but they're a little bit quicker than you might think they are. Let's go, bud. Good. Good. So right now, Spencer, you might notice, is in this enclosure by himself. That does not mean that Spencer is always by himself. We can give him socialization time with another male ring seal that we have in a different enclosure and let them hang out together. I wanted a nice focused demonstration for this streaming video, so I wanted Spencer solo for this. Good, hold. This is some distraction, and this is what we call tactile. So this is touch. You guys probably, if you have dogs at home, love snuggling them, touching them all over. Seals don't like that. Good boy. So we have to train them for it, and we have to make it super positive. So once again, when I pair that food with me touching his back, that's something that Spencer really likes. Spencer is about 90 pounds. Full grown for this species is between 100 and 150, so he is one of the smallest seal species in the world. He's going to get a little bit bigger than this. He's only 3, so he's not even quite at sexual maturity. So we do think he'll gain quite a few more pounds. Good. He's pretty dense right now as well. This is the time of the year when these guys start to pack on quite a bit of weight and blubber right before they go into their breeding and their molting season. So this is kind of a chunky dude right here, but that's exactly how we want him right now, which is great. He's eating a mix of herring and capelin, and he prefers both, as well as some squid. Nice job, Spence. Who are you looking at? Good boy. Good. Flip. You say hi. I'm going to see if I can get him back up here one more time for some positivity. Let's go, buddy. Good boy. Up. Good. Good. Flip. Good. Flip. Good. Flip. Good. Flip. Good. Now we're dancing. Good job, buddy. All right. Water. Good. So this was just kind of a demonstration of how far Spencer's come from a sickly animal that came through our rehab program that was being tube fed and given different medications. He's all clear of medications right now and on to the training process and eating whole fish. Good boy. Finish. I give Spencer the finish signal. That cues to him that the session is over. He's no longer going to receive food from me, and he's kind of free to do whatever he wants. I might leave the door open for a few minutes just so you guys can check him out behind me, but he's probably either going to hide underwater or just swim around and play with some enrichment. Guys, I just want to remind everybody that tonight is our premiere of Nat Geo Wild, the Alaska Animal Rescue Show, at 5 p.m. Alaska time. So don't miss it. It's going to be super cool. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more clips of some of our rescued animals from the SeaLife Center, as well as some other really amazing facilities throughout the state. So please check it out. And just a reminder, this is the Telequarium at the Alaska SeaLife Center every day at noon and 2 on our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in.